back, everyone. Here we are. It is 2021. Happy New Year, Morg.
Happy New Year.
We are two Bs. I'm Joe. And as I said before, this is Morg. And this is our first episode back. How was your holiday?
It was awesome. I didn't do much. I watched a lot of Netflix. What about you?
About the same. I did nothing. I had huge plans to get all the things crossed off my list that have just been accumulating, like cleaning and taking care of appointments. And I did nothing.
Hey, I think that's what a break's all about, though. It's about all the things you think you're going to do and then you don't do. Like, I really worked on my to-do list by writing it down and not crossing it off.
Well, that's one step further than I got. I didn't even make the list. It never left my mind. And Morg, I do have one question for you before we jump into stuff is, did you make a 1-month resolution and have you started it? And how is it going?
Okay. Well, I guess right before we started recording, I was telling you I got an Apple Pencil, and I know I'd mentioned master classes or some sort of classes as being like a 1-month resolution. So I think I want to take a class on drawing digital art with the Procreate app and use my Apple Pencil.
That'll be good, but you might have to save it for February because we're halfway through January, baby.
And that is the point of our resolutions. You can start them whenever you want, and you don't have to be a failure.
They're very forgiving, but I like that. That's a good one.
Carpe diem. Okay, what about you? What do we got going on over there? To-do lists?
That should be. Maybe I'll do that one for February. So for this month, I decided I would try on flossing, give it a shot. And I have been doing it daily, which I'm impressed. So if it goes well, maybe I'll try to do it for another month. But I'm only committing to 1 month here.
Whoa, your dentist is shaking his head.
Nodding it, right? Is he just shaking it?
No,
he's shaking it. But I'm flossing way more than I did in 2020, and we're only a few weeks into 2021.
He'll take what he can get.
Right? You should be high-fiving me. I'm doing way better.
A motivator of the people. Joe. So, Joe, I, of course, have some bee baggage coming into the new year for us. Really, it was just kind of inspired from a story on Instagram of one of our listeners posted, and I messaged them because I thought it was funny, and we had a little interaction. So they posted a picture of an EpiPen that their grandma sent them after they...
Whoa.
Yeah. An EpiPen their grandma sent them after they said they were allergic to eggplant.
Did the grandma include a note or anything? I just feel like I have a lot of questions here. I don't know why that was my first one.
I didn't see a note. I just wrote them about if they had tried out the EpiPen with their most recent eggplant recipe. They said they were going to definitely try it tonight because they were having leftovers and it might be needed. And then I just said, if we don't hear from you, we'll assume it did not go well. And he said at least they'll be remembered for something. So we are waiting on an update.
Okay, well, keep me posted, Morg. That is a bold move. I mean, living life on the edge right there with that eggplant.
But they got the EpiPen, so grandma's keeping them safe.
What, Grandma? Like, why? Why did you not just let this boy go through a doctor if he needed this? And also, aren't EpiPens expensive? And also, did you need this EpiPen? Like, so many questions.
Yeah, like, does Grandma just have extras that she can spare?
Does she just have a little gumball machine of EpiPens? Like, I don't understand how she's just able to just, I'm not going to need this, or no big thing.
Confidence. Grandma is confident.
Her grandma is very selfless, and she's like, what a good grandma.
She's like, you need this more than me. I can't have my grandson not eat eggplant.
I know. I mean, really, what would be the main solution here? Maybe the grandson just doesn't have the eggplant.
But
yeah. Eggplant's not all that.
Well, Joe, this inspired my question for our bee baggage this week, which is, have you ever been venting to someone or, just casually mentioning something to someone that resulted in them giving you something that you were like, whoa, it's not what I meant or needed? or, advice that you were like, no, I was just venting. I didn't ask for this.
Oh, my mom, like all the time. So shout out, Mom.
She's just like, and here's a little bit extra.
Yes, it's always, which I think is probably a mother thing, is anytime all I'm doing is venting. And then she always comes at me with some solution. And it's like, no, I wasn't. I just really wanted you to listen to me. And I feel better now, but I didn't need you to do all this research on my future. And I've actually, been, I guess maybe I'm turning into my mom. I've been called out on this where I can't remember the details of it, but I just remember I was talking with someone and they were telling me something. And then I came back with all this stuff. And then the way they responded was, I wasn't telling you to get your advice.
Oh, dang, they were cold.
Yeah, like I really wish I could remember more of the details, but I just remember that was like, okay, like point taken. Like you're right. Like I'm overstepping here.
Dang, okay, but still, I feel like you were trying to be helpful. That's like a little, kind of strong worded to come back with that's not what I wanted.
I think that's why it stayed with me. Because it was kind of like, oh, okay, like, never mind, my bad.
Oh, all right.
So, yeah, that's it. Nothing that really specifically jumps to mind, though. What about you? Have you ever been in a situation where you were just venting or you just mentioned something and someone took it too far and they really were like, let me solve this for you?
Yeah, right. I think a good example that I have, and I think this kind of relates to a lot of transactional interactions. Like, when you're at a store, there's just like this already increased need for them to help you. And so I think they just go that extra mile where you're like, whoa, 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 not what I was looking for. But my sister and I took a trip to Memphis and we went to Graceland. And afterwards we just were like, oh, let's go get a souvenir from this little souvenir shop. And the guy was just like, first of all, acting like he had not had visitors in weeks. So he was very attentive.
Maybe he had it.
And he was kind of walking us around the store, like really interested in our visit, which was sweet. But then he was trying to like also get us to buy things. And one of the things that he recommended we buy like very, very strongly was a postcard of Elvis Presley's grave.
But why that? Out of all of the postcards you could buy, why not get one of the Jungle Room? Why not get one of Elvis, like, in an iconic look? Why his gravesite?
Well, and that was our question as well in our heads because we didn't want to disappoint, but he was, like, very passionate about the graveside memorial when he died and was just like, this is a beautiful photo. And we were like, agreed. I don't want to send it to anyone. I don't want to purchase it. And so we like held it for a little bit because like it was just high pressure stitch and we put it down.
Did he just continue to walk with you as you held it? Like, so are you going to check that out? Can I wrap that up for you? Can I hold that for you at the register? Like, it sounds like he was very overbearing. So I'm just curious, did he stay with you?
I think, Joe, at that point we had to kind of take the method that the person took with you, which was like, we're not going to get that. Like, this isn't for me. So we just had to like really strongly inform him it was a no, because it was a little bit of a, like, you like, I'm here to help. Like, you're going to regret not getting this.
Yeah. It definitely takes a certain type of person to work in that retail industry where you got to push things. Maybe, Morg, it would have been a good fit for me.
But like, Joe, he was going to extremes. Like, he was also like telling us to frame it. Like, there was just too much. He's like, if you're looking to make essentially a shrine to Elvis in your house, this would be a really nice addition, framed. And we were just like, we aren't. And who is?
That is some big time commitment right there. Like, you got Elvis's gravesite framed next to a picture of your grandma and her everything.
And feel like this is all a circle of how I've been, forced advice and gifts upon me. So that's really what this shrine is to. Well, we appreciated the story and going down that little path we had here, because I feel like there's a lot more, though, that I've had happen where I was just like, whoa, didn't expect that.
For sure. And like you said, anytime you go into a retail shop, kind of like that, like, especially when I go to clothes shops, like, maybe I just kind of lightly touch a garment. And the next thing I know, the saleswoman has put together a complete outfit that is not my style. And she's just like, don't you think this would look really good on you and with a belt? Also, I've never had a salesperson tell me something wouldn't look good on me, which I feel like they're lying. But I mean, they take it too far. It's like, lady, I looked at that. I didn't like it. That's why I didn't pick it up. I didn't need you to then go create me an outfit with a hat and
a belt,
a scarf and everything, a belt.
But imagine having enough money to just be like, I really just don't want to be harassed anymore. I'll buy it.
That would be the dream, but also a little wasteful, because then what do you do with it? Or maybe that is a way to deal with it, though, is you buy it and then you go back later when that sales associate isn't working and you return it.
Think of how much waste you have in your life if that's how you're living it. Like, oh my God, and this is the part of my room where I keep things that I need to return because I had a high pressure sales interaction.
I think that's a deeper issue. You might need to grow a spine or something, I mean, stand up here. You need to learn how to say no.
If you know who you are, if you're listening to this, let us know if we need to help you.
But I wonder, I mean, because for sure, I've definitely bought stuff from feeling pressured.
Okay.
Like, that's a good sales, but I don't think I've ever returned it. But I've definitely bought something and been like, why did I buy that? Oh, because that lady made me feel like I should.
I mean, and that, I guess, is the pressure of sales. Like, they get to you. Because then they start being like, we've looked into a lot of things today. Which one are you going to pick? You're like, I'm sorry I wasted your time.
Yes.
But that is our bee baggage this week. And really, coming into the new year, we have missed some hot goss, or we've essentially missed discussing some hot goss. So this week, really, we're just going to catch up on some really important topics that our celebrities are out and about doing.
Yeah. New to us. Maybe old news now, but new to us.
We are fashionably 2 weeks late with our gossip, and that's why you love us.
Exactly, because you were riled up. Maybe you forgot about it, and we're here to plant that seed again and get you re-riled up.
A zombie effect. And I'm really thinking we label this section Controlling the Narrative, because you said that before our episode started recording, and I love that, because all of these people, I feel like we're trying to control their narrative. And it just really themes the goss that we have this week. But the first one, Joe, was, I told you to read about this last night because I just had been catching up about Hilaria Baldwin, which I don't know if she's still calling herself that. But little background for our listeners is Alec Baldwin's wife has apparently, for I guess the entirety of her celebrity career, been pretending that she is of Latina heritage. And she's, been sponsored by Latina companies. She's been on magazines covers and represented herself as Spanish when she is actually completely Caucasian and from Boston, Massachusetts. And it just happens to be that her family's rich and likes to go to Spain, and she adopted this accent that she never had. It's just kind of wild, but really got deep there, and she was all outed by Amy Schumer.
Well, I thought that there was like a reporter involved or something, but that's kind of where it came from, right? It's like Amy Schumer shared something that kind of sparked this whole thing where and first of all, I would just like to say, am I the only person calling her Hilaria? Or Hilaria, yeah. Which is sad because I know Spanish, so I should know. Hilaria.
But that's the thing. Her real name is Hillary, and I think she changed it to Hilaria so that she would seem more Hispanic, or she would seem more Spanish.
Yeah, Hispanic. But I mean, that too, I never had heard the name, which it say because I definitely met a lot of people who seem to have names that weren't typically your typical Spanish names, but which I guess is probably why I'm calling her Hilaria, is because I'd never heard that name before when I was there. I never met a single one. Like Hilaria, was not a name. But also something that I don't know. I find all of this bizarre in that when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, that doesn't seem like a huge deal. But then you watch those videos and stuff, and Morg, it was really creepy. Like when I can't even like put it into words, like watching her really lean into it. And then it was, I guess she never outright said it, but she did make these comments where it was like, yeah, my family came from Spain and they always speak to my kids in Spanish.
Yeah, just for context on a couple of the interviews that have surfaced. And a little background, Amy Schumer did not like find her out. There's been like Reddit threads for years that are like, she's not really Spanish, and people who had like looked into her because I feel like Reddit is like always on to people that are lying. Anyways, but Amy Schumer being, you know, a public figure is kind of the one who made it really a big deal because she like referenced it. But people had been talking about how this lady was faking it for years. And all of her interviews are bizarre because once you know that she's faking it, it's like she's kind of just creepy because she will actually, like a snake, kind of like slither around answers to seem like she's from Spain. Like people will point blank be like, were you born in Spain? And she's like, my family lives in Spain. Her responses never actually acknowledge or disacknowledge the fact that she's not Spanish, but it's just weird because she tries to continue the narrative that she is.
Well, also, Morg, when she finally comes out and she's like, I never said I was Spanish or whatever she says, that was really weird too, how casual she was about it, where she was like, oh yeah, like I'm not Spanish. And it was like, what about all of these moments in the past where you basically said you were? Like, yes, you're right. You did never actually say it like you were saying, but I mean, you never stopped anyone. Like you let magazines publish that you were.
Exactly. That's the part where it's like, nobody's buying your BS, Hilaria. So
I love the way you say that. Because I'm just not, that's not how it just sounds to me.
Like, and then Alec Baldwin has come out with some really weird videos because he, of course, is trying to support his wife, which I can respect. But he made this video where he is like silent for 10 seconds plus, and then all he says is, consider the source. And it's so bizarre.
Oh, he sounds crazy. And you know, I have not watched any of his videos just because, I don't know, Morg, just because I think one that I was going to click on was like 8 minutes long. And I was like, I do not have 8 minutes. I do. Yeah, as you heard during my break, I didn't do anything. So, I mean, I had 8 minutes. I just didn't want to sit there and listen to him rant for 8 minutes.
Yeah, no, I think the clip I've seen is from one of those 8-minute videos, but it's hilarious because he's just like so serious and is like, consider the source. And I'm like, but who? Like the source of these Spanish magazines? Amy Schumer? Like, who are we talking about here?
That's a good point. Like, who is the source? You know, I mean, because a lot of these feels like she's almost the source. Like she's the one who really.
Is that who I should consider?
Led us to believe this.
Hilaria?
We shouldn't believe her. Hilaria, yeah. This woman has been like being a character essentially for how many years, Morg? Like, I mean, I guess I didn't know anything about her until a week ago, but I mean, how many years do you know that has she been?
At least like 10.
Can you imagine that though?
That's so bizarre.
Can you imagine, Morg, one day you decide you're going to pretend to be Australian and then you're just Australian for the next 10 years every time you deal with anyone? Like, that has to be hard.
Like, I just immediately can't say the word McDonald's anymore and call it Macca's.
And you're like, I just bring me my veggie meal. Have you ever tried that? And you're like, you've never even tried it. But suddenly you're an expert.
Well, I mean, if that's the narrative I want to control, Joe, then that's the path I'm going to take. And it's a great one for me to pick because I don't have to change my heritage to being Latina. So I get to just stay in a character that I feel comfortable with.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe that is kind of a question, Morg. It's like, if you could be a persona, like trick people into thinking you were something for the next 10 years, is there anything you would want to trick people into thinking you were?
Oh, to like, I'm just like, this is something I feel confident I could do for 10 years.
Hey,
like,
I feel, yeah.
like name all my children in relation to this person, because that's what she did too. All of her children are like Spanish names.
You're so right. And I forgot about that.
So, okay, what would I double down on and be like, this is who we are, who
It's
I
me.
am? Okay. But I feel like I have to be confident I know enough about it to like buy in right now.
See,
So
I
that's
mean,
hard.
do you? I feel like BSing is a huge part of putting on a persona. Like, it's BS.
Right.
You know?
Like, and if I become the figurehead of it, I can have magazines publish what truth I want it to be. Oh my God, conspiracy theories galore. Okay. Then I think I'm going to be like a roller derby girl.
Yes. How many championships have you won? You were really cutting edge. Like,
yes. And like, I feel like it's something enough people also don't know about, that I could just like become the like lead of it, and people would like have never seen me compete ever, but I'm already just the lead of it, and I don't have to. I don't play anymore. Okay, I already won my championships.
yeah, like you were. This was all back in the 90s.
When I was a wee child.
Yes, exactly. You know what I think I would want to do is I think I would want to claim I was like a bunch of babies that were on television.
Like Mickey Mouse Club.
You know, like be like, have you seen this movie? Have you seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, or Honey, I Blew Up the Baby, or whatever it's called? Like, that was me.
That was I starred in that.
Like, have you seen all of these movies? Those were all me. Like, I was the most, and the Gerber baby too, that was me. Like, every one of those babies is me.
So, with that, what exactly persona are you? You're just an adult now that used to play babies?
I'm an expert on baby acting.
Okay.
You know,
cool.
It's like, oh, you know, back when I worked with Bruce Willis in that one movie, you know, he was really not how you would have guessed. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so like, are you gonna take this and start to be like a baby actor coach? I feel like that'd be such an easy job, because like, first of all, the babies don't talk yet, and you could just be like, yep, we had a really great coaching section, and you just like held the baby the whole time.
I'm reading magazines and stuff, and it's like, oh yes, that baby, you know, it'll cry. Trust me, it'll do its thing.
It's gonna be great for the scene we want. We're gonna get the perfect shot.
I really trained it to appear scared. It's gonna be great.
And it just cuts to you like watching a movie and the baby's asleep.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if it's all based on BS, I think I could make this work.
Okay, you're right. I was getting stuck on, you know, trying to find something I know enough about, but why do that when I could just pick something nobody knows enough about and lie to them?
You got to think outside the box, Morg. That's where your greatest persona comes from, not from within.
Not from within. But another piece of celeb goss that we have this week is, of course, like the Olivia Wilde, Jason Sudeikis, Harry Styles love triangle. Have you heard anything about this, Joe?
So just a little bit, Morg, and I don't know what to think. It's very weird, because it feels like not something that has been like a huge paragraphs and like blowing up my life like this Hilaria stuff, but I'm not going to stop saying it like that.
I like it.
But just like little tidbits that kind of sneak their way into my life, where it's like Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde have been separated for a year. And then it's like, oh, Harry Styles is now going to be in this movie. Oh, Harry Styles and Olivia are quietly dating. Oh, turns out Jason Sudeikis says they haven't been separated that long. Like, I mean, they're just like little nuggets almost.
Yeah, I guess I think a lot of the conspiracy is not around like if Olivia and Harry are dating now or whatever, but it's more so like really weird that Olivia Wilde's team, basically their PR team, like produced all this content that said that her and Jason Sudeikis broke up at the beginning of 2020. And then it's almost like Jason Sudeikis' team came back and said, no, they were dating through November 2020. And it's just very weird. Like, why is this timeline so important? Like, is there a baby out there that we all need to know who the father is? Like, what is happening here?
What a great strategy. Like, I don't know who to believe here, but I might have to adopt this strategy into my life where it's like someone comes at me with like a timeline. I'm like, oh no, that's not the timeline I have.
Yeah, just like muck it up. Like, I mean, is that what we're trying to do here? Is that what their kind of goal was? I just feel like they produced all that content just to be like, wires are crossed, okay? Who's to say when things happen?
Don't think too much about it.
And Harry Styles, he's just adorable and 26 and enjoying his life now. Like,
I
don't feel like anything's really come from his PR team. It's all like some weird stuff going on between Olivia and Jason. And Harry's just like, hey, I dress feminine. People love it. I am along for the ride.
Along with the ride, right? It's like you can't dislike him either way. He's just like, I just picture him just being like, welp, here I am, guys. I'm Harry. Like, you know what I mean? He's so young compared to them. And it's just like, we all love him. And he's just over here dancing in his giant pants. Like,
Exactly.
He's Harry. He's just doing his thing. And we're not focused on that.
And you know what? That's normally where the mastermind lives.
So you think this is all coming from Harry? His PR team is feeding this all to Olivia's and to... Are they the ones leaking the information anonymously?
I don't know. Like, I think not enough eyes are on Harry right now. I'm suspicious.
So you think this is his persona as being the nice guy that we all love?
And he's playing everyone else like marionette dolls, Joe. That's what I think. We all thought he's nice, and behind the scenes, he's like making calls where you just see his mouth in the phone, and he's like, leak it.
It's done.
But I think that this drama's not done. I think there's more to be said about why all of this PR stuff is going on, and that's why, I alluded to, like, what is the reason? Is there a baby in and they're trying to be like, it's not to be sure when things occurred. I don't know. I'm just like, why you got to muck up the timeline? Something's suspicious.
Because they're trying to make themselves look better, or maybe they're trying to make the other one look bad. Like, I don't know, but I think it's about making yourself look good.
Okay, that's probably true. And they're trying to not be like, oh, the movie that Harry and Olivia are starring in, like, caused the engagement to break off with Jason Sudeikis. And that movie, maybe like they're worried they're not going to get the ratings. Man.
Oh, they're going to get those ratings after all this juiciness?
Yeah, you're right. They are.
Was that the plan all along?
And that's movie
magic.
That's movie magic. That's right. I feel like that like this is also what happened with Mr. and Mrs. Smith when, of course, he cheated on Jennifer Aniston, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie.
That was when all of this happened?
Yep. So it's not a strategy we haven't seen before.
We're on to you, Hollywood.
We've seen this play out time and time again.
Yes, we have. Yes, and we allow it, and we will continue to allow it, but we just want you to know that we see it. So, Morg, I don't know. I know that we've talked a little bit about the Housewives. Have you been watching or keeping up with the newest season or the newest crew, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
I have not. I have actually, I've gone through Beverly Hills, Dallas, and now I've been on New York, so I haven't made my way back across the country to Salt Lake City.
Morg, it's all about time management. You got to do one night for New York, one night for OC. I mean, there's enough nights in the week that you can hit on all of them.
I know. I have so many that I also need to like watch the Potomac one. Like there's so many I have to watch.
Potomac, you got to catch up. I mean, I jumped in really late. I just watched this past season and it's juicy, Morg. It's very juicy. There's some real drama there, some hair pulling or some physical altercation, and it's pretty bad.
Wow, that sounds like something my roller derby persona would love.
Yes, you would probably have, like, as your roller derby persona, like, insight as to, she did it this way because of that, or I don't know. If you pull your hair like that, it'll slingshot you to the front. I don't know.
That's how you win a race right there.
And then followed by a body slam and you're good.
Like that's how I climb my way in the, I don't know, socialite society, I become friends with these women.
As an ex-roller derby professional. Okay, yes, because that screams high society.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what's going to get you views? Just a little slappy slap.
I'm your girl. I'm your girl.
I got to take my expertise to the higher levels, okay?
Oh, our expert, Morg. Now this makes me want to learn a little bit about roller derby, though.
I know. I need to know more for feeding my lies. Okay, but tell me about the Salt Lake City gals. What are they up to?
Well, Morg, I have to be honest, I don't love it. So I don't really know why I felt the need to bring this up, other than I guess I'm up on something that you are not on. So
wow, yeah, show off.
That's me. So, I mean, it's really, so far I find Salt Lake's really pretty, but I find it overall kind of boring. There's one lady, what is her name?
Mary?
Well, Mary is interesting in that Mary is a Pentecostal pastor. And
okay, this is diverse. This is a very interesting.
Well, she's loaded, and it's just crazy because from being a pastor.
Oh, okay. So we're suspicious of how she's using her church's money.
I mean, Morgan, I'm thinking pastor is maybe an occupation we should look at.
Based on how loaded she is.
Yes, Morgan. And she inherited her grandma's churches and apparently her grandma's properties and stuff. Yeah, her grandma was the pastor before her.
Oh my gosh, this is very interesting to me. So like, it's not even like an elected position. It is like a heritage position.
Yeah, because it's such a sweet deal. Like there's a little bit of nepotism here.
Okay, yeah. And also like, think of her going to school. She's like, I don't need this crap. Like, I'm going to be the pastor of all the churches. My grandma has already told me.
I bet she probably was like that because her attitude kind of seems like that. Like, I could see her saying something like that. But also, she inherited her grandma's husband.
Oh, okay. What?
Yeah, so she married her grandma's husband, which I guess, they always refer to it as her grandma's husband. So I'm assuming it's not her biological grandpa. But yeah, she married her grandpa's husband when her grandma died. So she got all of these properties. She got her grandma's church and she got her grandma's husband.
Like, do we think that was part of the will? Like, and you will marry Marcus.
Well, yeah, because that's kind of what she says. I mean, I'm not 100% on this, but she basically said, or Mary said that her grandma said that she wanted her to marry her husband.
Okay, something is going on in this church.
Yes. I mean, I need to read up on, what do you call it, Pentecostalism?
Well, I don't even know if we can attribute it to that. Like, this sounds like the Pentecostal church might be like, no, we have nothing to do with the grandpa thing, okay? This is like not how we run our things.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but I mean, other than that, there's this one lady who I cannot remember her name for the life of me, which is not good because she's really, in my opinion, carrying the show. Everyone else is very dull. Like there's one lady, Morgan, every time she does her tagline at the beginning, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm just going to turn this off because her tagline is, and she says it really flatly like this. She's like, jealousy is a disease, to which I say, get well soon. Does that make you want to watch the show? Like, do you think she's a good character?
Oh, no, that makes me think she's going to sneak out of my closet and get me at night.
It's creepy, and she's going to be standing over you like, get well soon. I don't know, but then there's this other lady who just goes off the chain, and I can't decide if it's because she's kind of crazy or if it's because she feels like she has to pick up some slack because her fellow housewives are really not pulling their weight.
They're dragging. Is it Jen Shaw?
Jen. She's carrying
going
the
off
show.
The chain.
She is, and she's the only one. Like she's carrying it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, these other women maybe look pretty boring.
They are. So far. I mean, it's still early. Like I think maybe the season's half done or something.
Yeah, there's still drama to unfold. Also, I see like really square jawlines. Maybe that's something that happens in Salt Lake City. The bloodlines there.
It could be. They're also talking about how, because I mean, some of them are Mormon, and they always talk about how Mormons strive for perfection, and so like that's kind of like the way you look as well as the way they talk about it. So I'm thinking like all the housewives, they've had some work done, and I don't know Can you have filler in your jawline, like, to make it sharper?
I bet they can put filler wherever you want.
Fill this up.
I don't know. Yeah, I would assume they can.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's really all I have to say. I mean, it's really not that interesting, but we'll keep an eye on it.
We will keep an eye on it. When we're watching you, Mary, and where the money's being spent from your church.
Yeah.
And the last piece of kind of newsworthy items that we'd missed during the break, or missed talking about during the break, was this girl who attacked an African-American guy, or it was actually a child, like 14 years old. And she essentially blames him for stealing her phone with no reason to blame him other than he happened to be in the lobby and was a Black teenager. Anyways, there's just footage of her, of course, yelling at the son and his father, and then she attacks the son. And now she's trying to backpedal. And for, like, I know we were discussing before the episode, for a little bit, it was like, why is this getting so much attention? But this girl did herself no favors in her interview with Gayle King, who, great interviewer.
Gotta love Gayle.
Gayle had so much patience trying to talk to this girl who showed up in a black hat that said daddy on it.
Oh, it's horrible.
Is sitting there with her lawyer, who's probably like, please kill me now. This girl is embarrassing me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole time. Well, it was really weird because, like you said, this girl did herself no favors. Like, I mean, it was like watching her, you're like, there's something weird here. Like, this girl, there's something almost off in the way that she presents herself and in the way that she responds to Gayle. Like, we were talking about, like, that finger snap at the end where she's like, okay, enough, Gayle. You know what I mean? But, I mean, how much did you feel for the lawyer, Morg? I was cringing for the lawyer.
Yeah, if y'all have not seen this, the girl is clearly, again, trying to control the narrative here, and she wants to basically absolve herself of the, storyline, of course, that she's being racist.
And she forgot Gayle's in control.
Yeah, and she's got no respect for, I feel like once you're trying to absolve yourself of something that is really bad, like being racist, you let somebody else lead the conversation, especially a Black woman who is the talk show host at this interview. Like, you don't try to cut her off. You don't look like you're being an ass. But this girl forgot that she's not in control. And so she shut down Gayle and put her hand up. This was a remote interview, but she essentially, like, would, if I was in person, be putting your hand in her face and said, enough, Gayle. And her lawyer, like, legitimately, like, acts like she got the breath knocked out of her and goes, stop. And it's just like, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you already look like so unprofessional in your stupid daddy hat.
Oh, the hat
you're
was
putting your hand up to Gayle. And I think that was the final straw for the lawyer, who was probably, like, already, like, so tense during the entirety of the interview. And then she puts her hand up and says, enough, Gayle. And then it's just like the lawyer got squeezed hard enough to go, stop.
Well, and that's even, Gayle says afterwards that the lawyer had suggested that the girl take the hat off. Like, I mean, this poor lawyer, Morg. I mean, that was really all I could focus on was, like, why'd she take this client?
Seriously, if I was her lawyer and she wouldn't take that hat off before this interview, I'd be like, no, I'm not representing you. Like, this is not going to go well for me.
Yeah. Like, I just curious too, what was going on in this girl's mind? Like, was she like, oh no, this will make me look really, really cool, or this will make me look really personable, or like, like, what did she think? How did she think she was going to come off?
Yeah, but I think, like you said, Joe, like, she seemed off. Like, but only in, like, a really maybe, like, narcissistic way. Like, she, like, really thought that she was maybe going to look cool and that people are going to realize, like, a lot of the things she was saying, too, was, like, I'm 22, I'm very young. Like, it was like, are you trying to look immature? Like, was that your point? I don't know, because she kind of did allude to it.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, and it also felt like she never really clearly answer to questions. It was like she was kind of going around them. You know what I mean? And it's like she was just, yeah, like you said, it's like she basically suggested she was just really immature, which I don't know, Mark. I just don't know.
But she called herself very sweet multiple times, which I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like rule number one for like maybe improving your image is you don't get to say
super sweet.
Yeah, well, you don't get to say positive things about you. Like, you need other people to say, like, what are you doing here? Like, at that point, everybody doesn't like you. You need some people backing you up. Talk to friends and family.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's really more about showing it versus saying it. And did she show that? No, she shushed Gail with her hand. Like, to me, she didn't. Just her saying that she was super sweet, like, it didn't change anything. And then she goes and she's like, enough, Gail. Like, clearly you're not a super sweet person.
No, yeah. And I think that's also why the lawyer was like, please stop.
Morg, so I guess that makes me think, have you been in a situation where you felt like you're the lawyer, where you're with another person and you just feel like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to be associated with this person. This person is embarrassing themselves and therefore embarrassing me. Like, have you had a moment like that?
Okay, definitely have had a moment like that. I think so. Joe, I used to do, well, I still do, but I did improv in the Dallas area when I lived there, and we just had this guy in one of our classes where a lot of times you take like classes for a year and then you graduate and you form a troupe and you perform regularly. But you kind of get like sectioned off into the people in your classes because you'll all continue that year together where you take them. But this guy was just like so sexist and very weird during improv scenarios. So you'd like walk into a room and like when I'm playing a character, I might be like, I'm a plumber, you know, like acting like a plumber. And he would just always make the women he played with strippers or prostitutes. Like, even if you already established yourself as like a different character. And it was just so weird because our coaches started to notice this guy doing this. And then like he did himself no favors because he was just like, that's not what I'm doing. And it was just like, eventually he got kicked out, Joe. And they like asked him to leave. And the weirdest part was when he came back and he gave this one girl in our class like a little charm that was a top hat. I feel like I'm going on a tangent here, but it was just
but it's
like
interesting.
Screaming. It was like screaming in my head, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, don't, like, first of all, we've all felt oddly sexually exploited by you. And
Yes.
he's like coming back in and giving her this top hat and was like, you were always like the best one in here or something.
Oh.
And he gave her this little charm of a top hat.
Was this the Monopoly piece, Morg? You say charm of a top hat, and I immediately think of, that's a Monopoly piece.
Yes, but it looked exactly like it, but it had like a little loop to go on a necklace. Like, it was a charm.
Well, also, why didn't you give her the whole necklace? I mean, I know that this is not the point of any of this, but for some reason I'm really hung up on this detail.
But I just was like, first of all, no idea, but why he didn't have the rest of the necklace available, but also like, did he plan to get kicked out and have that charm and like ready to give it to her? Like, there was just so much to unpack there.
Yeah, all very concerning. And also it kind of makes me think of, have you seen that episode of The Office where Michael does improv and he always resorts to having a gun and it immediately kills any scene and they're all like, oh, it reminds me of that where it's like, no matter what a person or the scene is, he comes in with a gun. It's like, no matter what the person or the scene, this guy immediately comes in and makes everyone into a prostitute.
Exactly. Like, we were all like, what is going on with these scenes? And then also him coming back in and trying to change our perception of him being like, I really enjoyed playing with y'all, and to this girl being like, and for you, a top hat. It was just like, dude, you're not going to change our mind about like how you were really weird in every scene by doing this extravagant effort right now. So there was definitely like those lawyer vibes, like, just leave, dude. Just stop.
Just stop.
Stop. God, yeah, it was. I mean, I think of that guy often because I'm like, that was bizarre. Whatever happened to him?
Yeah, that's definitely. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think I can top that, Morg.
Well, do you have an example? I mean, I just happen to have a really weird story.
Yeah, well, no. So I had a coworker, and we were basically partners. So we worked a lot together, but she was very unfiltered, I guess might be the word, because we would go into groups with other people that I didn't know that well. I don't think she knew that well. And the thing she would talk about, like one time she started talking about how she hadn't had her period and she was thinking maybe she was pregnant, and it was like nobody responded. And I just felt like, since I worked closely with her, I felt like people associated me with her, and like, I mean, and I'm just sitting with her like, no. Like,
Joe's reputation's getting stained.
Yes, and it was so hard for me, and it was anytime she would talk about stuff like that, I think she always wanted me to engage, and I just kind of would sit there and not, because I didn't want anyone to think that I was like that, which is bad.
Okay, but yeah, like the oversharers definitely make me uncomfortable too, where I'm just like, oh, stop there. Oh, nope, you didn't. Here we go.
There's a time and a place, and in a professional setting is not when you should be talking about things that you would talk with your best friend about over a glass of wine. Like, I mean, ugh.
No. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like I had a boss that would talk about like fights with his wife, but like in metaphors to us.
Oh, that's weird.
And it was just like, no, I'm not really looking for this, and I'm uncomfortable with the like association of your marriage with my work life. Because it would be like, your coworkers are like your partners, and it's like me and my wife, we fight, but we get back together. And I was like, what is going on? Like, how bad are your fights? Is she leaving you for a little bit?
Choose a different metaphor, and you might go stay in a hotel for a week. She might throw something at you, but you always go back together.
Like, I was like, okay, first of all, my job will never be my marriage, so thank you for that association. I'm going to decouple that now. And second of all, I don't need to hear this about you and your private life, and it's weird.
Mm-hmm. Ugh.
Another stop moment.
That's what I want to do, is I just want to find all my stop moments. So that's homework, is finding your stop moments and your personas.
Yes, so lots of homework for y'all to take home, internalize, come back to us with. We want to hear about personas, who you going to be when you can lie and cheat the system, who you going to be. What love triangle are we talking about next week? Send us some ideas, and just return your daddy hat if you have one, because I think we all established that was not appropriate.
Yeah, definitely burn that.
But have a great week, everybody. We know you just probably finished your second week back to work, but this upcoming week, next week, we're going to be talking about back to work and how we're doing.
Not well. Spoiler.
Spoiler. Have a great week, everybody. We'll be back soon.